John Flournoy. John joined McCord Development Inc. MDI in 2012 and manages the company's sales and leasing team. Over the course of the last 20 years, MDI has acquired and assembled nearly 4,000 contiguous acres of land in northeast Houston that is developing into the commercial enterprise park named Generation Park. Today, Generation Park is John's primary focus. No small feat. The 3,924-acre master planned enterprise park is the second largest tract of land in Harris County and by far the largest on Beltway 8, with more than 2.5 miles of frontage. As the Director of Sales and Leasing, John works with the Fortune 500 companies and large privately held corporations to bring their headquarters and other key facilities to Generation Park. Most recently, FMC Technologies, a Fortune 500 oilfield service company, acquired 173 acres of land at Generation Park. Prior to joining MDI, John served as sales manager for Brazelton Leasing, a boutique automotive leasing company. Prior to Brazelton, John served as a vice president for Amity Bank. Over his 8 years with Amity, his focus areas span from private wealth to commercial and corporate lending. John is a native Houstonian and holds a BA degree from Washington and Lee University. He sits on the board of Archway Academy, which is the nation's largest sober high school supporting the educational needs of teens in recovery. In his spare time, John enjoys spending time in the outdoors with his lab, Butler. We were joking earlier, he said, please say, spend time outdoors with this dog. That gives a whole nother twist to his bio. So with that, John, will you please come up and tell us about the plans for Generation Park?
Thank you, Catherine. My name is John Flournoy, and I'm with Generation Park, and I'm here with John Frazier, who's an associate in our group. So, Jonelle, I'm going to ask you a question. Did you said you needed somebody to serve food at your event, right? An extra person. Do you know that Aaron Glenn has either owns or used to own a restaurant chain in Houston? So you should probably talk to him. Who here can raise their hand and tell me what chain it was? Anyone? Frenchie's Fried Chicken. Best stuff on earth. I hope some of y'all have had it here. Well, thanks again for having us today. It's exciting. It's such a turnout. The first time I came into this room to do a presentation, it was my very first time to do a presentation on Generation Park. And the slide projector didn't work. So couldn't do a PowerPoint presentation, wasn't able to do the video, so I had to walk around with our brochure and point out all the areas in the presentation, and it was just an epic failure. So today it's come full circle. This is the largest crowd I've ever done a presentation for, so hopefully I can tie it all together on this beautiful day at Kingwood Country Club. I'd also like to say thank you real quick before we go to our video to the Lake Houston Chamber of Commerce. Charlie and his team of Michael and Trish have been extremely helpful to us as we've been growing. Limited bandwidth as we get lots of requests in from the state and from the Greater Houston Partnership for land requests, and they've been very instrumental in helping us get a lot of that due diligence and data put together. So I just, if y'all could join me in giving them a round of applause for being so big help. What I'd like to do now is introduce you to Generation Park in our video. I know a lot of people in this room, I see a lot of familiar faces, but our last video has been outdated, and we've recently upgraded, and I think you're going to like it. New voiceovers, a little bit more information about FMC Technologies, which I'm sure is why a lot of you guys are here today. And I apologize that initially we said FMC Technologies was coming. And then Ryan McCord, president of McCord Development, and then now you're stuck with me. But I promise you I can be more exciting and engaging than both of those guys who are going to come. So with that, let's roll the video, and then I'm going to give about a 15-minute slide presentation and open up the floor to probably a lot of real pressing questions that hopefully I can answer.
Welcome to Generation Park, the largest new commercial development in North America and the future home to the world's most innovative corporations. Spanning 4,000 acres, Generation Park's massive scale required an entirely new approach to master plan design. The result is unprecedented. There's no other development like Generation Park, and it can only happen here in the most vibrant market in North America, Houston, Texas.
Houston was just named America's next great global city by Forbes. Initially, people just took note of our job statistics and the fact that we were growing. Now they're looking beyond that to see what it is about this city that's made it so attractive, attracting talent, attracting companies, attracting investment.
Houston has been growing at a rate that far exceeds the nation's best performing cities, and Northeast Houston is growing even faster.
Where Generation Park is located, right on the east side of the Beltway, is perfect for recruiting people to come to work there because they have the potential of living in some of the finest neighborhoods anywhere in Harris County, commuting to work in an area that's almost a park-like setting, and they never really have to go through the traffic congestion that other people have to suffer through.
People love it here. Nearly 1 million people live within 15 minutes of the park, providing an untapped workforce who want to work close to home. In response to this growth, top developers are building more than 10,000 homes just minutes from Generation Park. When FMC Technologies, a Fortune 500 company, was looking for a new strategic location, the company compared Generation Park to other options in Houston. The decision was clear. After purchasing 173 acres, Bob Potter, president of FMC Technologies, had this to say. When we evaluated strategic locations in Houston, it became clear that Generation Park was best. There's no other place in Houston where your employees can live in brand new homes with great schools, surrounded by a world of recreation just minutes from where they work. As the last major enterprise park with Beltway 8 frontage, our corporate offerings are impossible to match. We have 2 districts designed specifically for corporate campuses, headquarters, and offices. Parcels range in size to fit every need.
It's become so competitive for employees today that it's not just compensation, frankly. You've got to offer a full set of amenities. People want kind of a campus-like atmosphere.
What we've done at Generation Park is we've created a 52-acre mixed-use development called the ESPA that will consist of almost 2 million square feet of improvements.
We modeled the ESPA after the best pedestrian experiences in the world, then tailored it to what people need during the workday.
Not all companies can afford the amenities of a Google or an Apple, but as the developer, we can put all of those amenities in one location for each company's benefit in Generation Park. We're going to have a half a dozen restaurants right out their front door. We want to save them from having to take a half day off work and go see the doctor or dentist by having those facilities located within the ESPA.
Multinational companies have a unique set of needs. The ESPA will feature a full-service hotel and extended stay options. Additionally, services will include a child development center, fitness and healthcare services, and even car care. If it disrupts your employee's workday, our goal is to solve it at the ESPA.
When we work with Fortune 500 companies, it's really clear what they're looking for. They're looking for that right mix of efficient real estate paired with amenities that help them to recruit and retain the best. And that's what we have at Generation Park.
If you're leasing, buying, or building a manufacturing facility, you need efficient real estate, strong tax advantages, and power and water infrastructure that's best in class. That's exactly what you'll find across more than 2,000 acres in 3 districts with parcels of any size. At Generation Park, you'll get buried 3-phase power from 2 on-site substations, plus access to natural gas. It's secure, redundant, and state-of-the-art. You'll have access to ample treated or industrial water from our direct connection to Lake Houston. Your facility will be the first stop from the City of Houston's largest water supply. Generation Park is also home to Harris County's largest new foreign trade zone.
We spent 2 years setting up the foreign trade zone at Generation Park, and we generally can save companies 65% on their inventory tax. So if you have $100 million of inventory, we'll typically be able to save you about $2 million a year in perpetuity. In addition to the inventory tax savings, you will not pay duty on any imported goods or goods held for export.
While our corporate zones feature Class A space with world-class amenities and our manufacturing areas deliver robust infrastructure and strong tax advantages, our fulfillment and distribution areas are all about logistics. Whether you're running 1,000 trips a week or 1,000 trips a day, your trucks have direct access to Beltway 8 and the feeder roads at 5 interchanges.
Beltway 8 was built specifically for the development of that area, and that's why it's so important for a development like Generation Park, which is halfway between the airport and the port. Any business that wants to ship in or out of North America have perfect access to the Port of Houston, to the rail lines, and to all the transportation facilities that allow products to move into and out of the entire continent.
Plus, our massive pipeline-free sites require no on-site detention, so you'll get the most out of every square foot.
Generation Park can accommodate the largest of user. If you need to have a 1 million square foot, a 2 million square foot, or even a 3 million square foot building, we can accommodate you.
Our multimodal rail facility with a 2,500 car sit yard and transloading capabilities gives you the flexibility you need to optimize your transport. Plus, with multiple fueling options and service centers to maintain your fleet inside the park, our goal is to make your operations run as efficiently as possible. At McCord Development, we understand and anticipate the unique needs of each of our users and offer the best location possible. The family lifestyle surrounding Generation Park combined with the corporate lifestyle inside the park will provide a competitive advantage for companies locating here for decades to come. From now on, we believe this is what you should expect in an enterprise park. To our clients and partners, we say this: our mission is to enable yours.
The largest new commercial development in North
Hold
America.
on, y'all want to watch the video again?
Spanning 4,000 acres.
So who knows, I'm sure everyone in this room knows, but this was made fake.
There's no other development like Generation Park.
All right. There we go. Maybe somebody's trying to tell me something. Kingwood Country Club. I'm sure everyone knows this, but this guy pointed it out to me my first time. He said, you know, we were sitting in this room back here, and he said, I really think this was in this movie Tin Cup with Kevin Costner, and he hit a golf ball at a pelican out of the bar. And I know y'all, I mean, if you didn't know, that's why I think probably why that pelican's out there sitting on the little pole over there. But let me get on to our slide presentation, get the show going. So we started acquiring land in Northeast Houston about 25 years ago. We were operating under the assumption that the Beltway would ultimately come through Generation Park. We were the original developers of Summerwood. Show of hands in the room. Who here knows Summerwood? All right, man, light beam amongst our people here. Normally everyone doesn't raise their hand. And we also like to ask the question of, to a lot of brokers in the community, who here has been on the newly completed portion of the Beltway? Yes. Man, typically I get like a 5% response. So we've got to get this area energized, and we're gonna try to accomplish that. We will accomplish that. So despite Summerwood's success when we developed it, we were still unsure that residential was the best use for our remaining parts of land. There were already 500,000 residents living within 10 miles of Generation Park, but there wasn't a single commercial district. And then about that time, as we were going through our options of what to do with our property, the Beltway expansion was announced. They did a $500 million bond issue, and about 3 years ago, they finally completed the Beltway from 59 North to I-10 East. We found ourselves at that time in a city that was experiencing and continues to experience incredible growth. We've got the shale play going on down in the Eagleford. We've got the port expansion. We also have the largest medical center in the world. So we found ourselves sitting on 4,000 acres in great proximity to the port and airport, I-45, I-10, 59, all those areas are less than 15 minutes away from Generation Park, and it was a no-brainer. We decided right then to launch Generation Park, and we call it Generation Park because we realized that it was going to take a long time to do. It's going to take multiple generations to complete Generation Park. Our current timeline is 35 years, and we're on year 2. So hopefully I will still be with McCord and working for a long time until I can retire. That would make me, I'm good at math, 72. Let me go here to the next slide. I like to use this slide to point out really how big Generation Park is in terms of other areas of Houston. We're the second largest landowners in Harris County. Who here knows the first largest landowner in Harris County? Private, well, not private, that's not a public entity, meaning not the county or anything like that. Anyone? Up north. Okay, Howard Hughes Corporation. So you've got the Woodlands and Bridgelands. The Bridgelands is out, it's about 11,000 acres. They own that as well, and that's in northwest Houston. It'll be a massive residential community. This also shows our proximity to the airport, the port, and downtown. Downtown's 20 minutes, no stoplights. Port's 15 minutes, and the airport's just 10 minutes. This is a pretty neat slide that we didn't pay to have put together, and it shows the residential growth in our area occurring from 2010 to a projected 2035. If you look at this map, let's speak up on this one. What's happening in our quadrant of town in 2035 from 2010 to that time? Massive growth and lots of people. What's allowing that to happen? The Beltway expansion. All of a sudden, logistics are so much easier to access our quadrant of town. It used to be we would talk about accessing Generation Park was only done by horseback and helicopter, and now that's completely changed. It's the mirror image of Northwest Houston. If you drive around Northwest Houston, what does it look like? I mean, it is incredibly packed. There's no land on the Beltway. There's no land further out west or northwest. We are incredibly well positioned to capture what Houston is experiencing right now. I heard a crazy stat that in 2040, our population is supposed to exceed 8 million people. Where are they all going to go? I think we are incredibly well positioned, everyone in this room, to capitalize on a lot of that growth. So it's exciting news. So this is our residential runway. In the last 2 years, within 5 minutes of Generation Park along Westlake Houston Parkway, over 3,200 acres of land have changed hands from your kind of speculative land investors into the hands of really great residential home builders. That leaves an inventory of 11,000 new homes that are expected to be completed over the next 7 to 10 years. It's just a massive amount of homes, especially given the growth that Houston's experiencing. If you were to locate a business in the energy corridor, for example, the nearest place where one of their new employees coming in from out of state, where they could go purchase a brand new home is probably 20 minutes away, 20 to 30 minutes away. We offer it in our area of town just 5 minutes from the intersection of Westlake Houston Parkway and Beltway 8. It's going to be a great recruiting tool for businesses locating at Generation Park. So our master plan, we have over 200 development sites. At completion, we expect Generation Park to have about $10 billion of buildings on the ground in value. That's over 150,000 employees. So when you talk about that in terms of a project, it's just so enormous. It's almost hard to wrap your fingers around how the heck you're going to launch it, right? So we had to carve it down into districts that we could focus on so it didn't seem to be as overwhelming. And right now we're focusing on the corridor district, which is, does that show up to you guys? Which is right in here where FMC Technologies acquired their land. And we're going to focus on that for probably the next 5 years. It also will include this rail-served foreign trade district. All of this, the Lake District that abuts Summerwood, that'll be in later phases. I would say probably in the next 7 to 10 years. So FMC Technologies. A lot of y'all in the room today have heard of FMC Technologies, and they are an incredible company. They're a Fortune 500 oilfield service company. They do about $6 billion in revenue. I'm actually closing in on $7 billion in revenue. They have 19,000 employees worldwide, 4,000 in Houston. It's our understanding that they're growing at over 2 employees a day. So if y'all can do the quick math on that, they should have probably 7,000 to 8,000 employees in Houston in the next, let's call it 5 years. Exciting news, right? So what we really can disclose about FMC, I wish we could disclose everything today, but we're under CA and it's a sensitive subject. But if you were to drive out to Generation Park today and look around, you can actually see some activity finally starting. So I highly recommend that you kind of go explore the Beltway in between Westlake Houston and Parkway and Generation Parkway, which is actually new. That's the old Winfield Road. I'd like to point out here as well a neat slide. Let me look at this. This is FMC's site on the left. It's 173 net acres. That's ExxonMobil's campus on the right. It's 185 net acres. It can kind of give you an idea of the scope of what they can do on this site. So the potential is truly amazing for our area of town. Infrastructure. Now, infrastructure we could talk about. We have some control over the infrastructure. And it has been a humbling experience learning about infrastructure over the last few years. As part of the FMC transaction, we have to deliver $30 million of infrastructure along their site. Within that $30 million of obligations that we have, we are delivering Westlake Houston Parkway from Beltway 8 all the way to Lockwood. It'll go past Summer Creek High School to Lockwood, 4-lane divided thoroughfare. We're also delivering water, power, sewer. All our power is actually underground duct bank along Lockwood. And we're also delivering a new road called Subsea Lane, which is right here. And that again will have water, power, and sewer on it. Also, as part of that infrastructure package, we're delivering a 55-acre detention basin down here on the bottom left of the slide, plus the Westlake, which I will show you all a picture of, and I think a lot of you in the room will get pretty excited about the Westlake. It's going to be a 20-acre amenity lake that'll have boardwalks and playing fields where folks can go have picnics and throw the frisbee on the weekends, which is, you know, I actually love Doosan Park, but it'll give a alternative to Doosan Park. Also happening is the county has been great in our neck of the woods recently. They have made a decision to expand North Lake Houston Parkway. If y'all haven't driven down North Lake Houston Parkway, it is crazy. It is a madhouse from the Beltway to Mesa Road. It is completely under construction. They've cut down all the trees in their right of way. It's going to be completed as a 4-lane divided major thoroughfare. Again, exciting news. Right now, it's just a 2-lane road. The intersection of Lockwood and North Lake Houston will be a lighted intersection as well. Right now, it's just a stop sign. This is kind of some news that maybe a lot of y'all haven't heard in the room. The Lockwood Road, from the railroad tracks, we're working on the northern portion of the railroad tracks, but from the railroad tracks down to North Lake Houston, it's going to be expanded as a 4-lane divided major thoroughfare as well. The county, El Franco Lee, they've been extremely helpful on helping us get this done. It's a big project. It's about $10 million. So all in, the infrastructure development that's underway at Generation Park and in the area is over $60 million. That's a huge number. I think everyone would agree with that. So this is fun. This is our detention basin. It's been completely out of view off of North Lake Houston Parkway. It is massive in size. I think you'd be hard pressed to go anywhere else in the city and find a larger detention basin. It's 55 acres. And we decided one day to draw a poly around it to give folks an idea of actually how big it was. And here is what it looks like, overlaid on Reliance Stadium and the Astrodome. It's huge. So that's just a little fun tidbit that we like to show during our presentations. So development activity, what do we have going on at Generation Park today? I'd like to point out to our number one slide, which is 103-acre industrial park. That's going to go along Lockwood. We are at the final stages of completing that deal. We would partner with a national developer. They're one of the best developers I would say, in the world. And they would come in with us at Generation Park, and we're going to develop it for distribution and industrial buildings. And that is at the finish line. Number two, we have been in discussions with a campus-like user on a 100-acre facility at Generation Park now for about a year and a half. My entry into real estate has been humbling that these large deals take a long time to be put together. This one I genuinely feel is imminent. It's just going to require a little bit of time. Hopefully we can close on this one this year. Another movement that's been happening in the Houston market is we've been growing. You know, if you look at Dallas, you've probably heard of Alliance or Ross Perot's development company called Hillwood. They have captured an incredible amount of distribution and fulfillment centers because Dallas has been very centrally located. They're able to get north and west and east and south. But what's happening in Houston is we've grown. Now these big distribution centers, we're talking 1 million square feet. It's huge. There aren't any 1 million square foot buildings in Houston that are of industrial nature. Are coming to Houston. That's what we hear. They'll be here in about 2015, 2016, and those are your Amazons, your UPS, your FedExes. There aren't any other large tract sites within this proximity to Beltway 8 that don't have any pipelines running through them, because these guys require 40-acre pad sites to put their buildings on the ground. So Generation Park is very well positioned to capture this business, which is going to be located on the south side of our development, south of North Lake Houston Parkway. The Select Service Hotel. So we talk about the ESPA in our video. The Select Service Hotel, this will close this year. It'll be a Select Service Hotel is comparable to a Courtyard Marriott or a Hilton Garden Inn. We've got to build up our employment at Generation Park and in our area to capture a full-service hotel. That will happen, but it's going to happen over time. We can't do it just based on FMC's employees alone. We've got to bring in additional heads to get a little bit bigger hotel. FMC Technologies, y'all know about. And then we're working on multiple users, many from the port, that want to get out of the polluted area and out of essentially a market that is best suited for manufacturing and not for the executives down there, and they want to locate at Generation Park. So we have multiple presentations out on 50,000 square foot users. And then number 7, it's going to be a high-end multifamily user, and that will close this year. When I say high-end, it'll be a little bit different than the garden-style apartments that you see along Beltway 8. It'll be what they call E-urban or a podium or wrap style. It'll have first floor retail. The rents will be a little higher. Like the average rents in our area right now are about $1.20 a square foot. And these will be a little higher, the $1.50 to $1.60 range. So this is a slide on the ESPA. The ESPA is what we call a walkable linear park, and it's going to bring amenities to the companies locating at Generation Park that can't afford, the amenities of an Apple or a Google or an FMC. Those type of amenities are healthcare. It's gyms. It's daycare, and we're going to bring that all to corporations locating at Generation Park in the ESPA. So I referred to the Westlake earlier about 5 slides in. This is what it's going to look like, and it is part of our phase 1 infrastructure. It'll be completed in the next, I would say it's going to be the next 16 to 18 months. But again, it's going to bring a great energy to the Westlake Houston corridor, and we're super excited about it. So with that, that's the end of my slide presentation. and I'd like to open it up to questions. Don't be too difficult on me. I'll try to answer them the best that I can.
You were very thorough, apparently. So how many
Yeah.
acres did you say the lake's going to be?
It ranges between 18 and 20, but I'm going to say 20.
The tax-free zone is the southern portion there?
So that's a great question. So we have what's called a foreign trade zone at Generation Park, which allows businesses that import and export products, just in the simplest terms, to save up to 65% on their inventory taxes. Sheldon ISD has been incredible to us. They've given us an abatement, a significant abatement on their taxes, as well as San Jacinto College. And the foreign trade zone we can carve up. We have an allocation of acreage that we can use within Generation Park. It doesn't just have to be in our foreign trade zone rail served area on the left-hand side of our map here. It can go anywhere within the park.
Does any of the corporate tax revenue come into Humble ISD, or is this all Sheldon ISD?
So we have about, and this is right there, it's about 8 acres. That's in Humble. The remainder's in Sheldon. But we love Humble ISD. Question in the back.
Are you willing to write Humble ISD except for all the education we have to find children out here?
I didn't even hear. Was it one I didn't want to hear? All right. Come on, we gotta have a few more here.
Would it be part of the Houston Clean Water Act?
That's a great question on the Houston Clean Water Act. I'm going to have to defer to Ryan. I need to go back and talk to him about that. But if you can give me a business card or give John Fraser a business card, we can get back to you and give you some more information on our goals there.
Is there a current plan in there, and is there a plan in place for vegetation and some of the current trees and plants that are there on the property right now?
Again, great question, and this is our Observer, the Kingwood Observer newspaper. So I gotta be very cautious about what I say. We're going to clear cut all the trees. No, on the east side of Generation Park, we planted over 1 million pine trees. If you fly over and you're in Seat A and heading into Intercontinental Airport, you can look down by Lake Houston. You can see 1 million pine trees. They're all about 15 feet high right now. Those will be used as landscape buffers, very similar to as you're driving down Kingwood Drive, and you just that level of peace and serenity when you get off of the concrete jungle of 59 and coming from downtown. We aim to do the same thing at Generation Park, similar also to what they've done in the Woodlands. We have setbacks and landscaping guidelines that are in place, and we require, as part of being in a master plan community like Generation Park, for our users to do that. If we have an industrial user at Generation Park, they will not just have concrete up to the curb at Lockwood. It'll be well landscaped, sidewalks, trees. There'll be landscape buffers. That is all within our commercial guidelines and a requirement.
Back to the 7 or 8 acres that happen to be in the Humble School District. Are there any homes there, or is that businesses? Is that scheduled to be residential or?
Generation Park is strictly going to be a commercial development. What that means is business related. We're going to do some multifamily. There'll be a few multifamily units at Generation Park, and I could see us at some point doing a little feel that you got in the Woodlands Town Center. There might be some condos, but in terms of doing any residential development, That's not in our wheelhouse. We're going to allow those folks who just acquired the 3,200 acres, the Land Tejas, the Crescents, the KB Home, to do that residential development.
Is that in the park that's in the Humble School District?
Well, it is actually. So that is great news. Thank you for bringing that up. That is all in the Humble School District. And that is just a massive undertaking. If y'all drive down Westlake Houston Parkway towards Atascocita and Will Clayton, just look on your left and right. There's trees being cleared everywhere. There's tractors, dozers. It's almost a little out of control because we haven't seen that kind of development in our quadrant of town in a long time.
As a realtor in Summerwood, I keep getting asked by clients on the homes that back up to your property, are they going to keep trees and stuff too, so that those residents are not going to see industrial or?
No, absolutely. That is the mud 344 south drainage ditch that is along Summerwood. And we have, those residents that live along there like to come on to Generation Park. We have them on camera. We constantly battle with that. But our intent is not to have a 20-story office building looking down over Summerwood. Again, we have a vested interest in that. We're still a 10%. I think it's 10%. We're a minority partner with Newland still at Summerwood. But we will have landscape buffers. We will leave in place those pine trees that we planted. Along that northern quadrant of Generation Park, there'll be smaller buildings. It won't be your 10-story plus buildings. It will be more of your R&D type facilities. But our intent's not to put up a bunch of skyscrapers overlooking these residential communities. That said, I genuinely believe that creating an energy, a commercial energy, a corporate energy in this quadrant of town is going to be great for all the residents living here. I think we can already see, and this is allowing me to kind of bring up something I forgot to bring up, what's happening with the retail landscape in this quadrant of town, which has been incredibly underserved. Other than, again, being able to, I know a lot of y'all come from all different parts of the Lake Houston area, but being able to go eat at Manuel's or going to Wilson Road or down to Wallaceville, there's been nowhere to eat. And that's a pain, right? And you hear about people coming to the HEB that they drive an average of 15 minutes to get to the HEB. So if you look on the map, I don't know if a lot of y'all can't see this. This quadrant right here, I said, is 66 acres. A national retail developer has bought that site, and they are about to go under contract on a grocery store anchored facility. It's not HEB, so maybe you can put the two together of who's coming. It's an awesome one, and everybody in this room is going to be glad to see them there. It's not Whole Foods, by the way. It's more like your HEB. And with that, they're going to bring in some additional restaurants. There'll be some clothing stores that come along with that development. And also on this side, just north of HEB, if y'all drive along there's a little strip center that's under construction. But I've heard through the grapevine that one of the tenants is Starbucks. So that'll be exciting. I've also heard some grumblings of Panera, Sports Clips, and then a dentist, a national dentist orthodontist group. But that just kind of, going into how great the area is doing and the energy that we think that Generation Park and all the home builders are bringing, it's just going to help home values, and the folks living in there are going to have a higher quality of life.
Westlake Houston Parkway is going to stay a 4-lane, or is it going to be expanded?
So it's 4 lanes with turn lanes. So you'll be able to pull off, turn left, or pull off, turn left. It'll be divided, And when we punch it through Lockwood down to where it will connect to North Lake Houston Parkway from here down, we're still noodling with exactly how we're going to handle that road infrastructure, considering it's going to be more of the industrial type users. And medians aren't good for industrial type users, and it causes a lot of congestion and traffic buildup. And we try to take that level of thought process into everything that we do. We still haven't had to make that decision, but it'll be 4-lane divided all the way to Lockwood for 100%.
I meant going north for 1960, the additional traffic in that area.
Oh, yeah, I've heard from multiple people that, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, that West Lake Houston Parkway has become one of the primary corridors for folks coming down from Kingwood because they want to avoid 1960. And the traffic has gotten worse, and there's concern in the room that with Generation Park coming online in these new residential communities that the traffic will get worse. I mean, traffic is good in some ways because it means that there's incredible growth happening, but it's a pain in other regards. We're diligently doing traffic studies and trying to work with the county on how to deliver a better plan for West Lake Houston Parkway. I can't disclose any of that information now, but I mean, I realize everybody in this room is focused in on that, and it is a concern.
When will we first see boots on the ground work in the construction?
Yeah, great question. It's going to be, I would say, 18 months from today. Let's just call it 8. I'm going to watch our Kingwood Observer over there. Let's say 18 to 22 months from today. There'll be thousands of people locating at Generation Park.
Green's bio remain?
Excuse me?
Green's bio, does that remain bio that comes through?
Yes, Green. We're not doing anything to change Green's buy-in. It's the Corps makes that really hard to do.
Our business is experiencing what's going on in North Lake Houston right now, and it's welcome for us for Houston Motorsports Park. I mean, we have 8,000 to 10,000 people every weekend go through there, so we're used to shutting Lockwood down in both directions till we get them in. And the supervisory crews of the construction are great to work with to make sure on the weekends we're not being obstructed. My question is, when will that similar style of construction take place on Lockwood so that we can plan for it?
I would say you'll expect to see construction on Lockwood happen in the next 4 to 5 months, and for it to be completed some point in the middle of 2015. Don?
I wanted to make a comment. Being in Summerwood, getting to know Rick Yarborough, Rick McCord, Ryan McCord yourself. One thing that I wanted to state is the kindness that John is showing today is not unusual. That's the kind of people they are. That's one of the things with your question that I've seen from the time I've gotten to know them. It's very kind, good people that we're going to be glad to have as neighbors.
Thank you, Don. I'll give you your money in a second. All right. Well, with that, I will turn it back over to Catherine. Thank y'all so much. It's a beautiful day. Let's go enjoy the rest
I believe we do have a gift up here. Yes, I might need Trish's help to see which one of these go to John. Okay. Thank you, John, on behalf of the chamber. I'm sure that's something that you'll use a lot in trekking out, going back and forth. We appreciate all the information you shared with us. We know exciting things are to come, so thank you. Last but not least, announcements.